The creaky mattress beneath him was barely softer than the concrete floor, but James had long grown accustomed to discomfort. Waking up in such conditions had become routine, even if his body could never truly adapt to it. He felt the weight of the night pressing on his tired muscles, but there was no time to linger in the quiet. The day had already begun, and with it, another struggle. Next to him, curled up under a thin patch blanket, slept Lily. Light curls fell on her face, and in the morning twilight, she looked serene, as if unaware of the gravity of their situation. Her chest rose and fell steadily, each drop of innocence in her being reminding James why he didn't give up. He ran a hand over his face, chasing away sleep, then slowly sat up, trying not to wake his daughter. The air was filled with the smell of dampness mixed with the aroma of cheap coffee brewing in the communal kitchen of the shelter. Someone coughed loudly in the corner. Another man turned on his mattress, muttering something incoherent. Here, every morning began the same way, with the dull noise of people trying to somehow pull themselves together before facing a world that had long ceased to be kind to them. James reached for his worn-out bag, the only thing left from when their life had turned upside down. Inside was little: a spare shirt, an old toothbrush, and a folded photo from the times when everything was different. He ran his fingers along the edge of the snapshot but didn't take it out. Today was not a day for memories. Today was a day of hope, or at least an attempt to find it. He pulled out a granola bar from his bag, their last breakfast, broke it in half and carefully placed one piece on a napkin next to Lily. He stuffed the other half into his pocket. Hunger was a familiar guest, but he had learned to ignore it. Lily stirred, her nose wrinkled, and then her hazel eyes slowly opened. She propped herself up on her elbows, still tangled between sleep and reality. "Daddy," she murmured, her voice soft, filled with warm drowsiness. "I'm here, sweetie." He touched her forehead, feeling his heart tighten with love and pain simultaneously. She yawned, stretched, and then looked at him with a slight smile. "Ma, what's for breakfast?" James smiled, trying to keep his voice light. "Your favorite, a surprise from the chef." Lily giggled, grabbing a piece of the bar. "You always say that." "Because it's true." He ruffled her hair, enjoying the moment of normality amidst the chaos. As Lily nibbled on her breakfast, James mentally ran through the day. Today he had an interview. He had scraped together some money to buy a clean shirt from a charity shop. It wasn't a suit, but it looked decent enough. Last night, he had ironed it using the edge of the sink in the communal bathroom as an improvised ironing board. Once he had been a good mechanic, not just good, excellent. Cars were his passion, his refuge. But one day his life shattered like glass under a heavy blow. Job loss, home, family. His wife left, taking not only their savings, but also a piece of Lily's carefree nature. Now all they had left was each other and a fragile hope for something better. Lily hummed something to herself, her feet dangling off the edge of the mattress. Her rubber boots, bright pink but already worn, stood by the entrance. They were one of the few things left from her after her mother left. They seemed to her like a talisman, a reminder of better days. "Are we going somewhere special?" she asked, pulling on her boots. James paused for a second, choosing his words. "Not exactly special, but important. Daddy has a meeting. If everything goes well, maybe something will change." Lily nodded seriously. "Like a new home." James felt something tighten inside him. "Maybe not right away, but we'll get there." He covered her hand with his. "I promise." They stepped outside, the morning air crisp and cold. James zipped up his jacket and Lily pressed against him, her tiny hands squeezing his fingers. The streets were already coming to life. People rushing to work, trucks unloading goods. Passers-by cast glances at him, brief, sympathetic, but quickly looked away, as if by lingering longer, they might catch their poverty. Passing a bakery, Lily slowed down. James saw her staring at the window display of freshly baked croissants and cinnamon rolls. Her stomach growled betrayingly. James averted his gaze, trying to ignore the pain twisting inside him. "Daddy, look!" Lily suddenly exclaimed. She pointed to a pigeon pecking at crumbs by the curb. "He's looking for food." James smiled weakly. "Just like us, huh?" Lily giggled, but her joy was genuine. James marveled again at her ability to find happiness in such simple things. He looked at her unfeigned childlike faith in something better. She was his light, his reminder that he couldn't afford to give up. In the distance, thunder rumbled. The first drops of rain fell on the asphalt. James turned up the collar of his jacket, but before he could take a step, Lily squealed with delight and started jumping in puddles, splashes flying around her. "Be careful, sweetie," he said with a smile. "I won't get wet, I promise," she shouted, spinning around. James watched her and suddenly realized, despite all the pain, all the heaviness of their life, he wouldn't trade this moment for anything. They continued on their way until, in the distance, on the other side of the street she appeared. A woman stood by a black car with its hazard lights on, holding a phone in one hand and helplessly lowering an umbrella that couldn't handle the rain with the other. "Daddy," Lily tugged at his hand. "She looks sad. Maybe we can help." James looked at the woman. He knew he should keep going, but something in her gaze made him stop. They walked in the morning rain, the drops steadily falling on their shoulders, dripping from their worn jackets. Lily, as always, found something fun in it. She jumped in puddles, laughed despite the chill. James, meanwhile, walked purposefully, clutching her little hand in his. His mind was filled with thoughts of the upcoming interview. This was a chance, maybe the last one. But then Lily stopped and tugged at his sleeve. "Daddy, look!" She pointed to the woman standing by the road. James followed her gaze. By a black car with its hazard lights on stood a woman, pressing a phone to her ear. Her face expressed a mix of irritation and helplessness, her shoulders slightly trembling from the rain. She looked like she didn't know what to do next. James hesitated. He had no time. He needed to keep going. But when he looked down at Lily, he saw genuine eagerness to help in her eyes. He sighed. "Let's go see what's wrong," he said. Approaching, he called out to the woman, "Good morning. Need help?" She looked up and hesitated for a moment. Her eyes scanned him, assessing. His worn clothes clearly didn't inspire much confidence in her, but then she nodded. "Yes. I have a flat tire, and roadside assistance can't come for at least another hour." James nodded. "Do you have a spare?" The woman paused for a second, then pointed to the trunk. "Yes, in the trunk." "Then it's no problem. I'll help you change it." Lily proudly held the umbrella over her father as he worked. The woman, who introduced herself as Emily, watched them. Initially, there was disbelief in her eyes, then interest. "Are you a mechanic?" she asked. "I was," James replied briefly, tightening the last bolt. Emily was silent for a moment, then said, "You helped me just like that. Let me help you." She handed him a business card. James took it, but didn't look at it right away. "Thank you," he said softly. As they left, Lily squeezed his hand. "She was nice, right, Daddy?" "Yes, sweetie, she was nice. Maybe it means something." James didn't know that this moment would change their lives, but deep down, he felt something important had happened today. A few days passed. James and Lily continued to live in the shelter, their days spent searching for work and hoping for something better. Despite the cold walls and heavy nights, Lily still found ways to smile, and James continued to fight. One evening, as they were about to go to bed, James's phone rang. It was unexpected. He had almost no contacts, and most calls were either ads or wrong numbers. He frowned, looking at the unfamiliar number, then cautiously answered. "Hello? James? It's Emily." The voice on the other end was confident but gentle. James instantly remembered the woman with the flat tire. He hadn't expected to hear from her again. "Yes, it's me," he replied, not hiding his surprise. "I've been thinking—" Emily paused. "Our meeting has been on my mind. I remember what you said about your profession. I think I have something that might interest you." James held his breath. He didn't know where this would lead, but something inside told him this call could change their lives. "What exactly?" he asked cautiously. "Meet me tomorrow at the cafe on the corner of 5th and Lexington. I think this could be the start of something good for you and Lily." James looked at his daughter, who was already falling asleep, curled up. He understood he had no choice. "Okay, I'll be there." The next morning, James woke up earlier than usual. The air was filled with an unusual silence for the crowded shelter. He looked at Lily, curled up peacefully. Her face held an expression of serenity that he so wanted to preserve. James carefully got up from the mattress, trying not to disturb his daughter, and went to wash up. The water in the communal sink was icy, but he habitually splashed it on his face, trying to shake off the fatigue. Today was an important day. He dressed in his best clothes, the same shirt from the charity shop. It was clean, neatly ironed, and gave him confidence. He ran a hand through his hair, sighed, and went to wake Lily. "Wake up, sweetie. It's time to go." Lily yawned, stretched, and smiled at him. "Are we going somewhere?" "Yes. We have an important meeting today." They left the shelter and headed to the cafe where Emily was waiting for them. The journey was long, but Lily walked briskly beside him, holding his hand. She sensed his excitement, but didn't ask questions. She knew he would tell her when he was ready. The cafe turned out to be small but cozy. James had never been there before, but he immediately felt it was a good place. In the far corner, he noticed Emily sitting at a table. She looked up, saw them, and smiled. "James, Lily, come in, have a seat." They sat down across from her. A waitress came to take their order, and Lily curiously studied the menu, although she knew they had little money. "It's all on me," Emily said, noticing the doubt in James's eyes. "Don't argue." He nodded. He didn't want to accept charity, but he knew refusing now would be foolish. When the waitress left, Emily looked straight at James. "I've been thinking about what you said last time. I have a proposal. Not just a job, but a chance at a new life." James tensed. "What kind of proposal?" "I run a foundation that helps people in difficult situations. We need an experienced mechanic for our workshop. It's not just a job, it's stability. A salary, housing, everything official." James froze. It sounded too good to be true. "Why me?" he finally asked. Emily smiled. "Because I believe in helping those who truly deserve it, and you've proven you're that kind of person." "What do you say?" James looked at Lily. Hope shone in her eyes. He took a deep breath. "I agree." James looked at the business card Emily had given him. The thought of a stable job and housing seemed almost unreal. It took him a few moments to grasp the full significance of her offer. He glanced at Lily. Her eyes were shining with hope. "Are we really going to live in a real home?" she whispered. James squeezed her hand. "If everything works out as Miss Emily says, then yes." The next day, he went to the Horizon Foundation, which Emily headed. The building was modern, with large glass windows and a warm atmosphere. The people inside looked busy but not grim, discussing something, smiling. "Welcome, James," Emily said when he entered. "I'm glad you came." She led him through the building, showing him a small but well-equipped auto workshop. Several mechanics were working there, training young people the foundation was giving a second chance to. "Here, you can do what you do best," Emily said. "Fix cars and help those who need it." James felt something warm rise within him. This was the chance he had been waiting for so long. Later, when he and Lily moved into the new apartment provided by the foundation, he realized that for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel helpless. The small living space was modest but warm, with clean walls, comfortable beds, and a real kitchen. Lily ran through the rooms, excitedly examining everything. "We have a home, Daddy," she exclaimed. James couldn't hold back a smile. He knelt and hugged her. "Yes, sweetie, now we have a home." Ahead lay much work, but for the first time in a long time, James felt they were on the right path. He knew the future wouldn't be easy, but now he had a goal: to give Lily the life she deserved. Several weeks had passed since James started working in the auto workshop of the Horizon Foundation. He quickly settled in, and the work brought him not only a stable income, but also a sense of self-worth. He felt like a professional, a master of his craft again. Lily also adapted to the new life. She befriended the children who attended the center and now happily ran there every morning. Her eyes no longer reflected fear, and her smile became genuine and free. One day, James stayed after work, helping an intern figure out a temperamental engine. When he emerged from the workshop, Emily was waiting for him at the entrance. "How's it going?" she asked, handing him a cup of hot coffee. "Better than I could have hoped," he replied gratefully. They walked to a bench near the center. James looked at the streets that had once seemed hostile to him and now were full of possibilities. I see you changing, James, Emily said. You're not just working. You're rebuilding your life. He nodded, feeling the warmth of her words. Thank you for this chance. I don't know where we'd be without you. You would have managed, she smiled. I just gave you a little push in the right direction. James thought about it. Indeed, everything he had been through had made him stronger. He was no longer the broken man who woke up on a mattress in a cold shelter. Now he had a job, a home, and most importantly, Lily, for whom it was worth continuing to fight. That evening on his way home, he stopped by a supermarket and bought a cake. It was a small but symbolic celebration of their new life. Lily jumped for joy when he put the cake on the table. Is it a celebration? She asked. Yes, sweetie. We're celebrating our new life. She beamed with happiness. Then I'll make a wish. James looked at her and, at that moment, realized his wish had already come true. They had a home. They had hope. And most importantly, they had each other.